Hey guys, welcome to the Libra Rising Survival Guide, a sign by sign, house by house breakdown of what it's like to be a Libra rising, so that if you're a Libra rising, you have a little bit more insight into what makes you tick. I think that there is this misconception with astrology that you only have like influences of the signs where you have planets. Like if you don't have any planets in Scorpio, for example, you're like, oh, well, I don't have any Scorpio in my chart. And then signs like Scorpio and Gemini get like a bad rap. And people are like, I hate Scorpios. I can't deal with them. And it's like, well, you do actually have every sign somewhere in your birth chart. It's just in a different house, depending on the rising sign that you personally have. So I'm going to do a rising sign survival guide series where I break down the house and sign delineation for each rising sign. And today we're starting off with Libra. My name is Jessie James. I'm an astrologer, and if you are interested in learning more about your personal birth chart, you can book a reading with me by going to popstrologypod.com/readings or by going directly to the booking page at calendly.com/popstrology. The links are here in the video, and they're also found below in the description box of this video. So lots of places to go to check it out, but let's get started with Libra rising. I also have, you can like sort of see him, the microphone's obscuring him, but this is my cat Mezcal. A little bit weird because I used to be an alcoholic, but I haven't drank in 3 years, and people are always like, what's your cat's name? And I'm like, he is named after a liquor. It's a little bit strange. And then my other cat Melrose is biting my ankles. So if I ever scream, it's because she has bitten one of my ankles. I'm simply not giving her enough attention, apparently. So Libra risings have just like a general idea of being very like beautiful, harmonious people who are peacekeepers, they are peace seekers, they are interested in the arts. And some famous Libra risings are Anna Nicole Smith, Kendrick Lamar, who I recently did a podcast episode on, Doja Cat, Zoe Kravitz, Britney Spears, Chappell Roan, Harry Styles, Alexandra Daddario, Jennifer Aniston, Stevie Wonder, Debbie Reynolds, Idris Elba, Niall Horan, Tom Brady, John Mayer, just lots of different celebrities who are known for having like beautiful appearances or being very charming or just being really, really talented at the arts. That's definitely a strength that Libra rising has. So if you're a Libra rising, your first house is Libra. Libra is the sign of the scales. It's all about balance and justice. It's also the sign that corresponds to the tarot card Justice. It is all about fairness. And Libras are also like flirty people. Libra is the natural sign of the 7th house, which is the house of personal relationships. Libras are very interested in relationships. And now the first house is defined by your rising sign, and it's the sign through which you see the world. It's your I, your EYE, or your I, like me personally. The first house is one of the 4 angular houses. Those are the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th houses. And these are the houses that have a really profound impact on you when planets transit these houses, when planets enter and go through these houses. This is when you can expect a lot of big changes to happen in your life. So anytime there's a planet in Libra, which as of right now, July 28th, 2025, there won't be any Libra transits until probably September, then that is going to have a profound impact on you. And Libra is also a cardinal sign. So anytime a planet transits through one of the other cardinal signs, those being Aries, Cancer, and Capricorn, that will also have a profound impact on you. Saturn and Neptune just moved into Aries. Saturn moved into it in May, and Neptune moved into it in March. So you are having an oppositional transit. Aries is the opposite sign to Libra of Saturn and Neptune. Neptune clouds things, and Saturn adds structure and discipline and boundaries and makes things a little bit more difficult, but for the purpose of helping you grow. So if you're a Libra rising and you're watching this in the year 2025, then you are going through a process where your 7th house of relationships is having sort of like dreams come to life could be one signature of this, but you should also watch out that people that you are dating or interested in, you need to make sure that you don't have on rose-colored glasses. And your relationship style and structures and the way that you usually relate to people is probably going to be shaken to understand if it's on a strong foundation. Like if you're in a relationship with someone, that relationship is going to be tested. And if it doesn't stand the test, it'll go out of your life, because the whole point of Saturn is to say, are the things in this area of your life working for you? Are they stable? Were they built on a solid foundation? And if they weren't, well, they're going to be gone, because you are going to be required to create a stable foundation and structure in your relationship habits and styles. And Jupiter is also transiting Cancer, and Pluto moved out of Capricorn last year. So these are the signs, Libra, Capricorn, Aries, and Cancer, that you need to pay attention to, because transits to these signs are going to be very important to your life personally. Now, Libra in the first house means that you come off as someone who is charming, as graceful, a peacekeeper, and a very harmonious person. You do your best to remain fair-minded and objective in any situation, but because of this, you can have a hard time making decisions because you are so busy trying to see from every perspective that you don't know like what you personally want. So you have to develop the ability to overcome this like, but what if, and just like make a choice. Make the choice that's right for you. You need to put yourself first. That's something that Libra struggle with. As a child, you were probably a pretty popular kid who didn't have that much trouble making friends. You learned very early in your life how to get your way without being aggressive. But you also developed this tendency to never want to disappoint anyone or to let anyone down, which has contributed to potentially lifelong people pleaser issues. And for Libra children, it's very important to live in a peaceful environment. Libra is ruled by Venus, and it's all about the arts and peace and tranquility and fairness and justice. So if you were raised in a home that was like chaotic or that wasn't peaceful, that probably wounded you a lot. And those are wounds that you now need to heal as an adult so that you can move forward in a healed way. As an adult, you are beautiful inside and out, and you are probably very focused on your personal relationships. You've spent a lifetime being the cool-headed, rational person in basically every situation, so you've developed a very balanced personality, but once again, probably have some people-pleaser tendencies, which can hold you back from success. What you want most in life is an aesthetically pleasing, tranquil, and peaceful home, somewhere you can retreat to that's beautifully decorated and has lots of Venusian delights, because you need a place where you can just be alone. When you're around other people, you're constantly trying to see things from their perspective and keep the peace. So when you're alone, you're like, I just need to let go. I just need to chill out. And something for you to work on is your tendency to always be supportive of others, but to lack that same compassion and kindness for yourself. You need to learn how to treat yourself like you would treat a friend, because you treat your friends really, really well. And you are your own best friend. Like, you're the only person who you're going to be with forever. After Libra comes Scorpio. So Scorpio is your second house. The second house is traditionally associated with like money and finances, but it's also associated with value. Obviously, money has a value, but you also have personal values, things that you think are important. And you also have non-monetary value. Like, capitalism is not the universe. Your talents are valuable. You as a person are valuable. And so all of your values are ruled by the fixed water sign Scorpio. And because Scorpio is a water sign, you like perfectly understand the value of money. You understand its importance and its worth in this world, but your values tend to lean more towards the emotional. Water signs are all about emotions. But you also don't want anyone else having any say in what you spend your money on. Scorpio is a very like independent sign. So you really strongly value financial independence because you don't want to have to rely on anyone else for money. You tend to have a wound from childhood that follows you around, that if you are not doing something to be valuable to someone else, like creating something for them or being of service to them, then you don't have any value in and of yourself. And you need to learn very deeply and to your core that that is not true, that you have inherent value just by being a human being who's alive. You were often forced to change as a child and throughout your life in ways that were often much more drastic than you were comfortable with at times that you didn't want to change, which has made it hard for you to feel stability in this life. Therefore, when something does give you that feeling of stability that you've always been seeking, you can become very devoted to it. You can be prone to possessiveness or jealousy or paranoia that the things that you love are going to leave you. The things that you assign value to are going to leave your life. And so you become very possessive over them. Like you're like, there's no chance that I'm letting you leave my life. But at the end of the day, you only have control over yourself. You can't control whatever anyone else does or wants to do. So in this life with Scorpio in the second house, you are challenged to assert your self-worth and your ability to grow in the face of change that often feels like chaos. When you do this, you're going to break that set of expectations that you've always thought that you had to live up to, the things that you've thought you had to do in order to have value, and you'll emerge strong and unafraid and realize that the only person who can tell you how valuable you are is yourself. Your third house is Sagittarius, and the third house is all about communication, but it's also about short distance travel. It's about primary education. It's about like neighbors, and it's about siblings and aunts and uncles. And this is where you have a little bit of a paradox that most people don't pick up on or don't see when they look at you, but you aim to be charming and jovial most of the time, and you are charming and jovial most of the time, but you have very, very fiercely held beliefs. Sagittarius is the philosopher. Sagittarius is the sign of long journeys, and nothing is a failure. Everything is a lesson. And of belief systems and philosophy. And though you are strongly rooted in your own belief systems, you don't have a problem when people have different belief systems than you. You're very curious about people and places and cultures that are different than the one that you grew up in and with. You have an insatiable thirst for knowledge. You process things very quickly. You are probably a joy to have in class. And you're likely to be an expert in at least one subject. Though because you're interested in so many different subjects, you tend to gain interest and then lose it just as quickly. Like you have a little bit of like an ADHD tendency, but it's not ADHD, unless it is, but it's more so that like you want to experience everything and you want to know about everything, and you can't learn about everything if you spend your whole life devoted to studying one subject. Because of all of this learning, you have a lot of wisdom, and you can tend to have an older sibling vibe, even if you don't have siblings or if you're not the older sibling in age order. And if you do have siblings, you tend to have a mostly positive relationship with them, though one that has complex dynamics. Now on to the fourth house, which is your next angular house, and your fourth house is Capricorn. The fourth house is the bottom of your chart. It is your root. It is where you came from. It is your family, your origins, your soul. And Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and anywhere ruled by Saturn is somewhere that you have a little bit of self-doubt. Like Saturn is not like a hyping you up planet. Saturn is like, I think you should think more deeply about that. And so on the surface, you're someone who can chat easily about anything, but inside you have a bit of a shy heart and have a hard time opening up because you fear that if you open up, you'll open yourself to being hurt and being vulnerable, and you don't want to let that happen. Having Saturn ruling the fourth house is an indicator that you had to grow up really early and quickly as a child. You had to mature long before you should have needed to mature. And these unfair expectations placed a sort of need to be perfect on you. And your goal in this lifetime, one of them, is to give other people the care and support that you wish that you had had when you were a child. And it's hard because caregiving throughout your life was used to manipulate and control you. People, maybe your parents, maybe teachers, maybe babysitters, were like, well, I did all these nice things for you. How could you possibly not do this for me? And you had all of these unfair expectations placed on you because you didn't ask them to give you care. First of all, giving you care was their job. But second of all, it's like you were taught that even if you didn't ask to receive something, because you received it, you're in debt to that person, and that's just not the way that things work. So one of your lessons in this lifetime is to learn what real, true, selfless caregiving looks like and be able to give that kind of care to another person without expecting any sort of transaction in return. Your fifth house, which is the house of creativity and hobbies and entrepreneurship, but also romance and children, is the sign of Aquarius, which is also ruled by Saturn. And because Saturn is so cold, Saturn is the opposite of the sun, which is the planet that naturally rules Leo, the natural sign of the fifth house. You can be a little bit cold when it comes to pleasure. And you're not the type of person who feels the need to demand pleasure. You actually feel quite the opposite. You feel like you need to work for and earn the pleasure that you get. It's not something that you feel entitled to just by being alive. Sometimes you don't even know what pleasure is or means. You can think that it's not something that's for you. You can think that pleasure is something that other people get, but you aren't entitled to at all. Aquarius is a sign that's all about being a little bit different. And so in your relationships, you like to do things a little bit differently than most people, than societal norms that we're all taught throughout our lives. It's very important to you, being a Libra, the scales, that your relationships are balanced, that you both contribute the same amount and that you both receive the same amount. You tend to attract very intelligent and independent people who often have a rebellious streak. And you are also a prime candidate for a friends to lovers romance, one of the best tropes there is. And because the fifth house rules children, if you do have children, they will probably have Aquarian tendencies no matter what their actual signs are. They will probably be ambiverts, intelligent, independent, talented, and very creative and entertaining. The sixth house is all about the systems of care that you want to build. It's about the work that you do from day to day, and therefore the things that you do every day are the things that you care about. It's about health and wellness and self-care, and it's also about pets. And the work you do every day can be the work that you do for your day job. 10th house is career, but 6th house is really the work that you do for that career. And the 2nd house is the money that you make from that career. But other things like chores and paying bills and mundane stuff falls under the 6th house. Your 6th house is Pisces, and Pisces is the sign that exalts Venus, the planet that is your chart ruler, which indicates that you achieve a lot of honor through the work that you do every day. However, this Pisces-Virgo axis, Pisces being your 6th house, Virgo being the opposite sign, your 12th, is a perfectionistic axis. Pisces wants big ideas, but Virgo wants perfect ideas. And so sometimes you can be held back from even starting the work that you want to be doing because you're worried that it won't be perfect. You place a lot of demands on yourself. Pisces is a very compassionate sign, and you are a very compassionate person, but this is something that other people tend to overlook. The 6th house is what's called a hidden house. The hidden houses are the 2nd, 6th, 8th, and 12th. So they're things that your ascendant doesn't make a traditional aspect, a sextile, trine, square, or opposition to, and therefore most people can't see from the outside. So the Pisces side of you, this really compassionate, big ideas, dreamer side of you, is not something that most people can see. You have a very emotional and understanding and dreamy and idealistic stance towards things that most people would consider boring. And you're also a very talented healer because you're so sensitive to other people's emotions and needs. And you can also help guide people on their own path of self-healing. With Venus as your chart ruler and Pisces in your 6th house, you are so talented at creative fields, and you can have amazing luck if you pursue a creative field as a career: an artist, a poet, a writer, a singer. And you're also suited to jobs that let you help other people, like being any sort of healthcare worker or social worker or any type of healer. Because you have so much compassion and are so sensitive to other people's needs, it's really important that you make sure you're taking care of yourself first. Get enough sleep, stay hydrated, eat good food, exercise, because in order to do work that helps other people, you need to be in a good place yourself. And now we've made it to the halfway point, and we go to the sign that's directly across the wheel from Libra, which is Aries. Aries is your 7th house. So the 1st house being me, the 7th house, the opposite house, is you. It's how you interact with other people. And this is also something people don't know about Libras or can't really easily see, even though it is visible from the ascendant, is that you guys are not just peacekeepers, but you are also willing to stir the pot a little bit, because if everything is fine and no one's fighting, then there's no peace to keep. Your life would be boring. So you do have a tendency to rile people up just so that you can bring everyone back in line. And this also indicates that you're a person who loves a bad boy or a bad girl. Libra risings really are the archetype of I can fix him, no really I can. Although what you need to learn in this lifetime is that not everyone wants their problems fixed, and that by trying to fix other people's for them without them asking you to do so, you are trying to take control of someone else. And anytime that you're trying to control something that you don't have control over, you don't really have control over anything outside of yourself, that is going to lead to problems. But once you decide that someone is special to you, you're really going to fill them with that direct, fiery, and passionate love of Aries. You want them to be your teammate. You want to do everything together. You are passionate, direct, and determined in relationship, and I love that for you. I hope you find that right person who is going to want you to fix them instead of being like, no, please do not do that. And then we move on to the 8th house, and the 8th house is the mysterious house of Scorpio. I always try not to lead off with this by saying the 8th house of death, but it is the house of death, but it's also the house of shared finances, other people's assets. And then death, of course, is accompanied by rebirth and transformation. The life-death-life cycle for those who have read Women Who Run with the Wolves or are familiar with archetypal psychology. And Taurus is the earth sign, also ruled by Venus, your chart ruler. That is very possessive. It's a natural sign of the second house of like money and resources and value. And so Tauruses like to possess things. They like to grab tightly and they don't want it to leave. Tauruses do not like change. And you have Taurus in the change house. Like, what can you do? And so having Taurus on the 8th house means that you might get very attached to the emotional problems of other people. This really goes along with the I can fix him thing. You can get so attached to someone else's situation that you don't want them to move on from that situation because you're like, well, what if they don't need me anymore after they stop needing help on this problem? Like, I need them to keep having this problem forever so that they will keep needing me forever. This leads you to be a person who really values like inside jokes, nicknames, anything that will make you feel special to another person so that you're like, even if our relationship changes, even if they move or they get married or something happens, we still have this like secret little thing that's just ours that we can always hold on to in our relationship. That makes you feel more comfortable with the idea that someone can change because you will always have the things that you had and made together. Taurus is a very sensual sign, and the 8th house also deals with sex and physical intimacy. So you are my love language is physical touch person, but don't put it on your dating profile because that is way too cliche. But you do value physical touch a lot in your relationships. You can provide a lot of stability and emotional constancy to the people that you're in relationship with, but you need them to do the same thing to you in return. You really value loyalty, and you're very careful of who you enter relationships with because you are afraid of being betrayed. Your 9th house is Gemini, which is also a side of Libra risings that people don't really understand or don't think that you have in you, because Gemini is a sign that's pretty cynical and contrarian. So you are not someone who's going to go along with whatever the loudest person in the room is thinking and saying. You will often go against what the loudest person in the room is saying just to wreak a little bit of havoc, and then you can heal that havoc using your Libra peacekeeper tendencies. And Gemini is a mutable air sign, which means it's restless and ever-changing, and also means that you almost never make up your mind 100% about something. You're not the type of person who chooses one stance and is like, and this will never change. You're someone who like has an opinion about something, but if you get new information, that opinion can change. And this is throughout your life. There's no age where you're going to stop and be like, and that's it. These are my beliefs. They will change for you forever. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's a great thing to be responsive to new information. And when other people are talking about what they believe in or a cause that you care about, you're going to think that the best way to support that cause is to bring critiques to the table because you think that there is no point of view that's ever 100% perfect. There's no political party platform that's ever 100% perfect. And the best way to support a political party or a cause is to help them evolve and grow and get better. You're probably someone who's really drawn to traveling abroad, to foreign cultures, people from different countries. And you can also find success in fields like literature, journalism, philosophy, and language. You are a truth seeker and you approach your spiritual beliefs, which is a ninth house topic, with an intellectual mindset. Your 10th house is the sign of Cancer that is ruled by the moon, and the 10th house is the final angular house. The 10th house is the top of your chart. So this has to deal with your reputation, how other people see you in society. And it's also about your career. And so having nurturing Cancer, Cancer, the mother, the moon, on your 10th house means that you do really well in professions and roles where you have a caregiving responsibility. You put a lot of pressure on yourself to be the friend who's always there for people. You're the friend who always cooks for people, the friend who always brings people together. And even though you put in so much effort and care to care for other people, this can often be overlooked or taken for granted. You're very sensitive to other people's feedback and opinions of you, which can impact your self-esteem and your self-worth, especially in the workplace, because this is the 10th house. If people criticize you, or even if they give you constructive criticism in the workplace, it's probably going to make you feel bad. So you need to learn how to work with this instead of trying to push against it, and either put yourself in a position where this isn't like a common and regular part of the job. There are certainly jobs where you don't get like regular performance reviews. That might not be the right role for you. And or work on healing these wounds and understanding that other people are just trying to help you. Like you want to fix everyone else's problems, they can want to fix you. And it doesn't mean that they hate you. It just means that they want to help you like you want to help other people. Although you can tell the difference though. Some people do not give you feedback because they want to help you. The moon is very closely related to women, so you can find yourself in careers and roles that really involve helping and supporting women, supporting mothers, and you often look for jobs where you can provide others with a sense of comfort, and also jobs where you can find a sense of comfort yourself. You don't want a work environment that's constantly changing. Your 11th house, which is the house of communities and groups and hopes and wishes and activism and humanitarian causes, is ruled by Leo. So on the opposite side of the wheel, you had the 5th house Aquarius, where you just didn't really know how to find pleasure or didn't really believe that you deserved it. But the 11th house, Leo, ruled by the sun, is where you are able to find pleasure. You are able to find pleasure when you are with other people, just not so much on your own. And you often feel that you need your source of pleasure to be validated socially by other people before you can find pleasure in it yourself. But when you finally find your people, the people who enjoy the same things that you do and seek pleasure in the same ways that you do, you're able to let loose and have your fun. However, because you only do this in social environments, other people can look at you and be like, oh, this person is only about letting loose and having fun. Like they don't have a serious side at all, because they don't see you when you're on your own, refusing to let yourself have pleasure at all. So there's a lot of misconceptions that you're some sort of like party girl or boy or person, when you're actually not like that at all. It's only the times that you're around other people, you let yourself have fun. And at your core, you're like a weird person who likes weird things. Your 4th and 5th house are ruled by Saturn. You're just not like everyone else. So you do want acceptance from other people. That is something that's important to you. You feel so often like you are just a really chronically misunderstood person. And so you're looking for your own band of misfits where you feel like you can be yourself and still receive warmth and belonging from other people. And finally, your 12th house, the sign just before Libra, is the sign of Virgo. And the 12th house is also a mysterious house. It's also a hidden house. It's your behind-the-scenes life. This has to do with things like prisons and mental institutions and hospitals archetypally, but it's also about like your thinking, you know, your subconscious, what you think about when no one else is around. And Virgo is a pretty critical sign. So this indicates that you have a lot of perfectionist tendencies and you're very critical of yourself and hard on yourself. It's like this critical whisper in the back of your mind that always says you could be doing better. And your chart ruler Venus is in fall in the sign of Virgo. It's exalted in the sign of Pisces. So this is a really hard placement for you. Like some rising signs have 12th house signs that are like very easy to deal with. But yours is like, I hate myself. I'm never good enough. Very perfectionist, I won't even let myself start doing any work because I might be bad at it, because it might show that I'm actually not perfect and I can't handle the knowledge that I'm not perfect. But Hannah Montana told us that nobody is perfect. But Virgo, beyond being critical, is a sign of service. Like, I'm a Virgo. Like, Virgos are very hardworking people. They're very caring. They're incredibly smart and intelligent. Like, Virgo is actually a positive sign that just has a lot of negative connotations, not for nothing. But you are, at your very core, in your subconscious, a very devoted and hardworking person who always wants to take care of other people. You had the weight of the world placed on you as a child who should have just been doing child things, like having fun. You don't deserve the criticism or the unrealistic expectations that you place on yourself, and you know that deep down. You just have to work to get there, because your natural tendency is to be really hard on yourself. Overall, you need to learn the lesson in this lifetime that you cannot let the possibility of making mistakes hold you back from doing the things that make your heart shine. And that, my Venusian Libra rising friends, is Libra rising in a nutshell. I hope that you found this helpful, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate if you subscribe to my channel and like this video. And once again, if you're interested in having a personal birth chart reading done, you can book that with me at popstrologypod.com/readings or on my booking page at calendly.com/popstrology. You can also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at popstrologypod, and my personal Instagram at astrojessie_. Anyway, I look forward to hearing from you and working with you soon, and I love you very much. Bye!